Yo, he really ratcheted it up today, man. I think everybody we're a couple of days away from playing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Mr. Harley?
Here.
Mrs. Maxson? Here. Mr. Boone?
Present.
Mr. Mulholland?
Here.
Mr. Reiner? Mr. Wood?
All right, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
Matt, can we add a closed session right after audience visitors?
And I would suggest we hold one at the end as well. So two closed sessions.
Certainly the executive session is coming in.
All right, let's pick one after audience visitors. Any other changes to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda on the page.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. On to audience visitors.
Right away.
Scared them off.
All right, we'll need a motion to go into executive session. So moved.
Second.
Roll. Okay.
We have to state the reason. State it is.
Okay, no problem.
It'll be in the motion.
Person.
And the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body and the legal counsel for the public body, including hearing a testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Roll call.
Mr. Ellison?
Yes.
Mr. Miller? Yes. Mrs. Maxson? Yes. Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Wish you could.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? All right, back in open session, moving on to the treasurer's report.
As presented, but also I wanted to inform the board that we went out for bids for bread and milk with five or six other school districts, and voting on those bids on April 17th, so I'll bring those back to the board in April. And also in April's meeting, I will be bringing an estimated end of year expenditure report for you all to look at and do. And in May, I will be bringing a tentative budget for the upcoming school year. And after that, I'll be working on it, reviewing it, making changes all summer, and bring it back again on August for the final 30-day review. Or if there's anything else that you'd want me to bring as well, I'm
Thank you. Any other superintendent's report?
Yeah, I wanted to let the board know that we received a library grant from the Secretary of State in the amount of $1,036. And Jane will be working with the libraries on ways to put that to good use for our students. We have also received an additional $40,000 this year in Title I money as a one-time extra payment that we must spend by June 30th. So I will have some recommendations of how we can get that done by June 30th, coming up later in our meeting. Wanted to let you know as a follow-up too that Mr. Novak did have our schools tested where there was chip and paint, especially at Capron and at Poplar Grove, and those tests have come back as negative. We do not have lead in that paint, so it's going to be some good news there. At our last meeting, you also asked me about why doesn't our district do online registration? So I did. I went back into it, dug a little deeper as to at this point why we haven't done it. And at this point, our district had not done it or hasn't done it in the past because for us to do it, we would need to do some software updates, which would cost us a little bit of money. We would need to put together some training, not only for our staff, but also for some of our parents. We do still have some parents that don't have access, so we have to make sure we provide that. A couple of the biggest reasons that I heard from the secretaries is the residency proof and the documentation is one thing that they strive very hard is to make sure that our residency proof and documentation is in line. And then the other thing that they noticed too is when we ask people to come in, our collecting of payment seems to be a little better about us getting checks written and collections of payments. So those have been the reasons in the past why we haven't done it. If it's a direction the board would like us to look at to pursue, just let me know. Let me know if that's a direction the board would like to pursue. Adam Beard has approached me about an Eagle Scout project. What he would like to do is possibly clean up and rejuvenate our front, our landscaping, our weed garden up there at the front, and just kind of rejuvenate it and help with that. Possibly seed a little more where some of our wood chips are, just so we don't have quite so many thistles and weeds growing in. I'm open to the idea. If the board is, it would be under no cost to the board or anything like that. It would be an Eagle Scout project that Adam would do. Capron had also mentioned that they possibly would have an Eagle Scout too. I don't know if you reached out to him, but I'd be more than willing to let Adam pick and choose whichever Eagle Scout he wanted to meet his needs. So it's a chance for us to get some of our landscaping projects done at either place. So, any objection to the board about moving forward with that? Next month, we will need to hold a facilities meeting. We'll look to wrap up our summer planning of projects. We've got a couple items to bid on tonight, and then we'll have to finish out our planning for the rest of the summer. So we'll need to put our summer facilities plan together at an April facilities meeting. Also, as Julia alluded to, we'll probably have to have a business meeting. She wants to talk to you about the current status of where our budget is, and also work with some assumptions as we move forward into next year's budget planning. So that is my superintendent's report.
Did we discuss here, or do we do you have further questions about it?
Go ahead.
So you kind of threw out of the online registration. Is there any way we can just for fun, not that it would be fun, but just pilot something, offer it to 50 families?
We need to find the cost.
Just
Yeah, we wouldn't be able
research
to get that done for our registration right now, but it is something I could look into. It wouldn't happen this spring, but
computer programming that what I'm assuming would be based on some sort of platform that we'd need to purchase. See if it streamlines anything, if perhaps the cost of the programming saves the cost of manning all those different stations.
I can look into it though. It's a little hard to get that all together now, especially with early registration coming up for the elementaries, probably a little bit here after after spring break, and then our early ones, but I'm not opposed to moving forward and looking at it.
Committee reports. Policy.
Policy meeting met. Don't have anything further scheduled. Audit the minutes. Upload the minutes. Cannot see the minutes as presented. Did meet. Don't have anything scheduled for.
We do have one item on the agenda that came from policy that we'll be discussing.
Business services.
Nothing to report. We haven't met.
Facilities.
We did not meet, but I did come in last week to go over the bids for the roofing and the windows that we had already agreed to put out. Met with the architect and Jim and Mike to see how the bids came in, and obviously we're going to get to that a little farther down the agenda. And like Mike said, we'll be having a meeting shortly to wrap up our projects for the year.
Bill.
Mary, you led that one. Do you want to take this?
We met and
the 13th, Monday the 13th, right before the policy committee. And I think, I just put you on the spot too. I think maybe the best thing to say is that everything that we discussed will be discussed at length under new business. So the summer school plans, bilingual plan, summer education, Y school, and the curriculum plan will all be discussed under new business. Probably more detail than we need to go over right now.
All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent.
Agenda is presented.
Second.
Motion for a second. Roll call.
Mr. Lilly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulhauer,
Yes.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes. Here's unfinished business.
Yeah, just that I put in your packet the board goals. We had kind of gone through at a special meeting and kind of wordsmith the goals the way we want them to. I did come back with some baseline data for you. Last year, for our teachers, in your goals, I said that we had an North Boone retention rate of 73%. State average was 85%. So I went back and I kind of looked. Last year, our retention rate for our certified staff, and I believe that was what was reported in the state report card too, we had 22 teaching positions that we refilled. So we had about an 82% retention rate. And our NBAS retention rate was about 86%. So those were kind of our baseline data numbers there. We had a 14% turnover. In our NBAS, where we usually see the larger turnover, is our para turnover rate, 29%. So
It was interesting. Mary and I had the opportunity to go to a South Beloit School Board meeting last week and see a presentation by PJ. Last name is, there you go, from Stillman Valley, which he talked about board goals. It was interesting to see his outlook and processes with it and where the South Beloit School District was. It was interesting to hear, South Beloit superintendent and school board presenter there talk about, how they came to some conclusions about some of the assumptions that were there when PJ came in. Stillman Valley Board was very aggressive in setting some very high standards for Stillman Valley School District. School district that was achieving at 62% career readiness and expected to be at 90 in 4 years. School district that was going to present opportunities for them to attain Malcolm Baldrige Awards for excellence in education in 4 years. So I think this is a great document and a great starting place for us. It certainly is something that's going to have to migrate towards something else down the road. And so I would move to approve this document as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. We'll move on to roof replacement and repair.
As Tom had mentioned, I had a chance to work with Tom, Greg Staller, and Jim Novak. We had the middle school gym roof and the UE roof repairs, which are under health, like I said, put out to bid, as recommended at one of our last board meetings. We got a chance to look it over. We'd like to recommend McDermott's do both of them. They had the low bids for both for $246,254. We had estimated $300,000 for those two roofs to be done. So with that estimate or bid there, we came in under budget. So that's my recommendation.
I would make a motion to approve McDermott roofing for the base bid and the alternate bid for a total of $246,254.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes. Mr. Boone,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Ridley,
Yes.
Window replacement.
Yeah, same thing, worked with Tom, Jim and Greg. We recommend having Carmichael do the window replacement at Manchester for $89,480. Our original estimate was $50,000, came back a little higher. But overall, for both projects, we came back a little bit under budget, so both projects together are approximately $337,000. And then with the backside of this, if you approve that, what we need to do is with the remaining money we have available, look to put a summer list together. We've got a list, but prioritize the list and come to an agreement and bring that back to the board for presentation in April. So approve the windows through Carmichael.
Was there something given for a reason it was that far?
Higher. I asked Greg that, and Greg said, Tom, do you remember? He said, Jim had said that his original quote came back from a guesstimate or an estimate that he had used based off wood windows that they had at Marengo. So he was trying his best to kind of make an estimate there. When I asked Greg, Greg said, well, these are not wood windows, they're aluminum, a little more durable. And his comment to me was that this is probably more along the line of what the cost should be. I don't know if that helps you.
The way I took it is there had been some code changes which increased the cost of the windows. So our estimates were prior to that, and this bid is after that. And we have like windows in the district already that were spec'd for this job that we're happy with. So being that they both came back less than what we estimated, I would make a motion to approve Carmichael Construction.
Was there talk about rebidding it again?
That was why I asked to get to that, and Greg felt like these bids were pretty competitive where they were. That's what I thought it was. But Greg felt the numbers were about on where he wanted them.
Second.
Second.
Normally when they're 40 to 50%. I would have checked it and bid it. It's not seen often how accepts it that far along.
Roll call.
Mr. Boone,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Ward,
I think you should rebid it.
Mr. Allison,
Yes.
Mr. Ridley,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Right, then the first reading of policy.
Yeah, as Donna mentioned, we met last week with a joint committee meeting where we included and invited all members from both the policy and the curriculum committee to get together to talk about policy 6:310. As you know, we've talked many at length about all the different perspectives that this involves. It involves a lot of perspectives from each and every person, and many of them all have very good points that go along with them. I know that Don reached out to IASB with the attorney that works for the press, and I had a chance to also, as long as we were with it, grab some opinions from Scott Nemenick and to what they felt. And in the end, the committee came back with a consensus that said the changes that were made were about the district approving specific online courses through, I believe that's EduSeer, is that right, Jake?
Right.
And also the district approve outside courses for like dual credit that would come from credit, pre-approved courses from accreditation from North Central. We opened up, not completely opened it up, but we opened up the ability for students to take more courses from outside. The idea was that there's 24 credits, at least minimum of 12 would come from the North Boone School District that should still provide a student flexibility to pursue a running start option or a dual credit option if there's something that they want to pursue individually that's outside of the university. So that was what the consensus suggestion was. You have the first reading in your packet tonight, and we would ask that the board approve that.
I'd like to move that we approve policy 6310 as originally presented in press and not as amended by the policy committee.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mullen, are you privy to some of the discussion that was had about that?
Pardon?
Were you privy to some of the discussion that was had about that?
I just believe it's really bad policy to walk away from the recommendations of press, and since we've been here, it's been made clear to us numerous times when we've had issues with specific parts of policies that it's better board policy to follow the recommendations of the organization that we pay money to give us these recommendations back than it is to stray. And I think it opens a Pandora's box for us if we say that it's all right to open up and change this recommendation but not others. I think that we could spend an inordinate amount of time dissecting personal agendas, I guess, if you will, in regards to some of the other policies once we start down this path. I'm comfortable when I see policies come through that from my time here I'm not comfortable with, but because that's press's recommendation, I go ahead and follow it because it's in the best interest of the group and of the school district to move forward. I'm not sure that there's been anything shown to me that any students have been damaged by or will be damaged by following 6310 as it was presented in press.
There has been many policies that have come through that have slight changes from press. When I called press, and anybody else can call them too, there were footnotes in here that even gave alternative suggestions. We talked about it at length. Some of the problems that we have under the current press, so, minimal suggestion was eligibility. Who's going to approve each and every online course that the student wants to take? That's why you all, Mr. Havley, maybe it's Mr. Hubert, talked about the EduCare program, how a lot of that's already pre-approved by the district. Someone, maybe Mr. Haley got to speak to that particular online courses.
It used to be, as far as online courses go, it used to be that we used, let's see, Compass Learning. One of the things you realize is the river was a little bit lower. We tried something a little bit higher. Some of the stuff that was a little bit lower off of Compass Learning wasn't NCAA approved. And had an effect on the student who were back in college and tried to keep them off that regional athletics. So we looked for something that had NCAA approved classes, and that's why we moved the switch years ago to just here online specifically to the program.
And that lets you somewhat see monitor how students are progressing.
Well, and so like with EduCare, what it does is it says this student has this percentage, it'll say the student has an 85% with 20% of the course complete. So, a student could sit there then, as far as online class goes, for 3 weeks and they'd still have 85%, only 20% still complete. The student could essentially put it off until the very end. Could put it off until the very end, and try and cram everything in, and then there's a number of possibilities there. But essentially, you'd be looking at what the percentage is, at that same spot then for over weeks of a couple weeks or period of time. For eligibility purposes, that does make it difficult as far as eligibility purposes.
I think you had some thoughts about 12 credits. How you came to that conclusion is very difficult to as a freshman, sophomore, drive the classes. the transportation. So.
Correct. There are three basic things that we looked at. And I'll say this, one of the things, there was a curriculum high school committee that got together. And one of the things that came from that committee, we did discuss this aspect of it, that in order for a person to take both classes off campus as well as take courses on campus, they would be paying for both, whatever those off courses the campus campus classes were, as well as Northland High School classes. So somebody would have to pay the annual fee to enroll to Northland High School, along with what other if you're doing online, or if somehow you're able to get into college courses as a freshman, you'd be paying for both. So the thought behind what the high school stated was, behind what that high school curriculum stated, was that you're not going to have too many people. Anybody who decides that they're going to go as a freshman and do online courses, they're probably just going to be a homeschool student and of course that way. So we thought, well, you're not going to have really anybody who's going to do that. I will admit this, we had some discussion. Both Harlem School District and Huntley School District, as Molly brought up, in talking to their curriculum directors, approved the state press as it is, but they still, it does still say that it's up to the discrepancy of the school for things, and they won't allow students to take anything that they don't offer high school. But then the other thought is, also with freshmen and sophomores, the big thing for them to take courses off campus is the fact that they're going to have to, provide transportation. It's going to be difficult for parents to do that for somebody who can't drive anyway. So the thought and rationale that I know came out of the district curriculum committee was that they're not likely going to be able to go take dual credit courses or something along those lines unless were providing their own transportation anyway. In which case, they would likely have to be a junior anyway. So if we required them to get 12 credits, that would pretty much cover their freshman sophomore year. As a matter of fact, they could earn as many as 14 to 16 credits even for freshman and sophomore year. So we thought that 12 would cover the minimum they would need to get through the freshman sophomore year, which point in time they decided as a junior they would do credit courses and as well as completing high school diploma. That would still give them the option to do so. So there were three real major things that we took into account when we talked about that, and both the high school curriculum and as well as the district curriculum committees. I don't know if that helps out or not. I just threw a bunch of stuff at it.
It's really, for me, not about the policy so much, Jake, and the challenges to go with it. It's really the process. I would probably argue that a majority of the school districts in the state of Illinois are following Press's recommendation on this. So those challenges that you just outlined for us are their challenges too. I'm really concerned that if you open this Pandora's box, that it might go in a place that may not be as agreeable to everybody and send something else down the road. I just really think that it's best practice organizationally for us to say, we're going to follow the recommendation of the organization that we pay a fee to give us these and develop these policies for us. I take no exception to anything that you've said.
Sure.
My argument is we've been schooled since we came on board, and maybe one of us individually had an issue with something that we were asked to vote on, that this is Press's recommendation and this is what we follow. So we put our own feelings aside, we make those recommendations based on the best interests of the group and the best interests of the school district. So my argument in voting to stay that course is not about anything that you've said. It's just the process and the organizational challenges that we have.
Sure, and I was just trying to explain everything that we looked at in making the decision, and it did come out, like I said, out of one committee to go ahead and as is, and I know then through the district committee we did talk about, so I was just trying to explain that aspect.
Mr. Greeley, make it minus, what did the school attorney say?
I did. I reached out to Scott, and I just after you'd had a conversation down at IASB too, just to make sure that our attorney gave us some sort of feedback from it. Scott did feel, he said, to open it up with no parameters, he didn't feel it would be a North Boone diploma. In his opinion, he really felt that you would have issues with parents arguing about GPA, rank, valedictorian, national high school criteria, and eligibility. Those were the big things that he said that you're going to possibly have some issues with from outside courses. He recommended setting some parameters, and he said it didn't matter to him whether you selected the number of credits or if you selected the areas of where you would approve credits from. He thought that from a sensibility area that way, he said, you want something there to kind of provide rigor or have something that says that your North Boone diploma has some rigor or some value behind it. That's what his thoughts were.
Will Scott be sharing that with the press organization?
I don't know. I didn't ask him to share it. I just wanted his opinion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
An amended motion.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Well, excuse me, it's technically not.
Just
An amendment.
What's the motion we're voting on, please?
To approve policy 6 as originally reflected in press and not as decided on in council.
Thank you.
Yes.
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 Present the other way, it's going to be the same outcome.
I don't. I give up. Any suggestions?
I would make a motion to table it till we receive the minutes from the attorney regarding the conversation that Mr. Greenlee had with him.
You just want something written from the attorney?
Yeah, and it's not because of you, but it's been twisted before about what the attorney said when he really didn't say that. So
No problem.
if he's on the payroll, I think the board should get to see it.
Sure.
Give it until next month. So, we are business, moving on to new business, the March 2017 bill. Mr. Reiniger read the bills, so he is not here to make a motion.
I'll make a motion on his behalf and assume he did his due diligence.
All right. Bill, second.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Wood?
Abstain.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes.
Mrs. Bessie? Yes. Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Carries. We'll move on to approval of 2017-18 educational program plan.
Sure. At the curriculum meeting, I proposed some of the initiatives we'll be working on, and the curriculum committee seemed in agreement and asked me to bring it forward. Let me walk through each section, and I'll give you a chance to ask questions as you could. So I'm kind of working off the document that says curriculum, elementary schools, upper elementary, high school, technology. With the curriculum plans for next year, again, we'll be looking to finalize and aligning the NGS standards district-wide, hopefully getting that done this year. We're also working on hopefully having a decision for NGSS science standards resources and adoptions. And that amount of money is to be determined. We would next year begin review and math curriculum alignment for next school year. And then also beginning to put a framework in place for structured PLC and grade level / subject level conversations in our buildings. We've talked a little bit about that. Does anybody have any questions over any of that subject? Also, too, I was approached by the Y-Care. We ran a survey. We'd like to add Y-Care to Capron and Manchester elementary schools next year. Capron would, based on the survey responses, they'd like to open up Y-Care for before and after school. They had plenty of parents that were interested in that. And they felt that based on the parent response, they would like to offer after-school Y-Care at Manchester. So we have it at all 3 elementaries next year. Any questions on Y-Care?
Cost.
No cost to the district provider to provide it. We just need to provide them the facility after before next.
As you and I visited, I'm for the most part in support of what you've outlined here, but I also I'm going to ask that some sort of data tracking and measuring tool be put in place as well as bring us the what I think we all agree on is some kind of behavior tracking tool to flow through with us. We need to begin to put benchmarks down as we make decisions about curriculum and adding teachers and putting staff back in so that we have the opportunity to measure the impact that the decisions have on the school district and on academic achievement. That was the purpose of going through the exercise of putting board goals together with superintendent goals. And I would support this as long as that we've got a gentleman's agreement that we're going to be in that place before the start of this next school year.
And just to update the board with some other things that we're working on behind the scenes, and we just don't have recommendations right now. We currently have ECRA as a data warehouse that we can look at assessment data with. We've looked at the administrative team and I, along with Molly. Molly led us through it. We've had a chance to look at IIRC online. That also offers some options. Each one kind of has their pros and cons with them. And I've reached out to Insight, Student Data Systems. They are getting ready to come in. I've got a set of data with them to come in and give us a sample here to look at that. So we'll have 3 options to look at for student data assessment.
You have the option we brought you home from Chicago.
That's the Insight.
Okay.
That's Insight. The other one that we're looking at is, and my principals would probably be jumping and screaming yes for, is some sort of way of tracking data for discipline referrals and all that type of stuff. And I've got Melissa right now going to get some sample costs and information to come back to us to look at those things too. The idea behind it is we're reviewing what we have, not growing the cost, hopefully maybe saving a little bit depending on what we go with, but looking at some different options to give us the data that we need to make decisions going forward.
It gives the board confidence that we are making the right decisions.
Mike, if I made you choose, which are we pushing? Do we already have academic benchmark data and a way to track that? Because you talked about just discipline, and I wouldn't be against that, but of course my hope would be that we'd be more so pushing for academic data and collection and comparison.
You want to answer
and
that a little
assessment.
better? I can see you chomping.
Right. Well, in a way, kind of looking back, kids aren't going to learn unless they're actually in their seats and paying attention to their behavior. Part of that behavior tracking is we can see when are these behaviors tracking, what are these happening, is it times of day, that kind of thing, just ways of tracking it. And we've worked with Swiss in the past. But, a big part of even like what we use in evaluation, like when we talk about what I mentioned, kids aren't going to learn unless they behave. So unless they pass the interventions and control, kids are kind of behaving and feel safe because those are our foundational levels. So in a way, yes, we do need that behavior tracking so we can kind of see what's going on and where is it mostly coming from. More than just about hunches. It's nice to have the data that hunches. But and then, yeah, we kind of do have a little bit of the academic data and looking at some different ways of sorting and using it.
It's a little bit.
Yes.
So part of the thing that we looked at IRC is there a way so that you can track academic areas, concepts, and stuff like that? There's a more efficient way. There are some more efficient ways we could do it, and so that's why, yes, that's a piece of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's IRC?
IRC is an interactive report card that's based, a state-based website out of Northern University. And they have ways that we can download data in there through our maps and stuff like that, so we can look at concepts. And there's a cost that comes with it. So do a little bit of cost analysis for what we get. But it has its limitations for being able to present roll charts and things like that as well. That's why I'm going back to Insight. I want to see what Insight can offer first.
It was fascinating. Mary and I said we were at South Boyd, and they've got that star system that they use up there. Mary and I had the privilege of being there for an hour and a half. The board hadn't taken any votes, and they'd gotten their data presentation had only gotten to the 5th and 6th grade in an hour and a half. So certainly a system that has a ton of stuff within it. They can look at subject matter, behaviors, grade levels, teachers, rooms, subjects. I mean, everything that they wanted to see. And the presentation from their admin team was about what they saw between spring and winter and what modifications they made to their curriculum to get prepared for parks and state testing and come out at the spring. So it was there are a lot of great systems out there.
It must be.
I think so. I think Star. It starts.
We didn't want to interrupt the proceedings by sounding like we were stupid and asking that question, but they kept referring to STAR over and over and over again.
Okay.
Could we possibly ask 6th grade math teachers, is that even a capability now? 6th grade math teachers, tell us how your students are coming in and what they leave with in some sort of visual graphic that we'd be able to grasp, because it sounds like that's what they got. Do we even have those capabilities?
Yeah,
or any subject.
There's ways to look at cohorts depending on,
And-
I guess that's maybe one thing the board, what I've done is presented you data typical to what the board has presented in the past. And I've said, tell me what way you want it. We can look at doing different presentations with cohorts and maps data and everything. We've got a lot of different ways we can present this.
Yeah, and that's really why I was pushing for this. I mean, it's a time to start. I don't, in fairness to everybody, without people getting defensive, I don't think we have that capability today, but we need to get there, and we need to start sometime. This seems like a great place to lay that down and get that groundwork going.
And so, Molly, you got brought into the conversation and you mentioned it. I'm interested in an answer. Based on what you said, is curriculum alignment and some sort of tool to collect the data and present data on curriculum less important or more important than this behavior tracking? Because the way you said they can't learn if they aren't behaving, and so that just popped into my head. Well, then we should be allotting more money to this behavior tracking opportunities and perhaps more aids in the classroom if that's what your recommendations are. Or should we be shooting for some sort of presentation quite regularly from 6th grade math or all 4th grade reading teachers where they all stand up and present? And Ed, not that I want this, I'm going to make that clear, the camera's right there, but Ed said teachers' names were on there, or students' names weren't on there, but comparisons, and it wasn't used for evaluation, but just as a matter of how are people performing, how are students performing.
Okay, did they talk about Park, or was it STAR that they kept talking about? Because I think they use the STAR system, which is similar to, that's their version of maps. We use maps.
That was
That
what.
just dawned on me because I was trying to.
If I had to guess, I would guess it's their internal assessment.
Yeah,
Sure.
that it was,
Yep.
Yeah,
it was
it's
similar to our map stuff.
It's not necessarily an internal assessment of the style. It's more of an external, like the individual maps that we give.
standardized
It's a
assessment,
standardized assessment given at,
but it's the choice of the districts. Yeah, that's right. I remember.
I don't know if maps,
What was it?
you know,
Yeah, we can
like
do
for
some of
example,
that
you do
with maps.
classroom
We can do a lot of that with
versus,
maps.
I've only seen my own children's, but it
Maps you
was,
could present.
it was a similar format to what maps is.
You could present grade level growth cohorts. You could do a lot of that with maps too.
Like,
So we have the ability.
what parents see, the report that comes home on maps is just their child and how they're doing in comparison to their school and the district. When teachers go into maps, they can see each of their students and how they scored, and it puts them on a continuum and it groups them. And then you can go within those groups, and maps will tell you what skills specifically those students need to work on. And so the teachers can drive their instruction based on the data that maps gives them. So it is Maps is a great tool that provides the teachers with a lot of data, but certainly if board members, if the board wants to see reports like that of how third grade is doing in general, I don't feel comfortable putting names out there, but third grade across the district, fourth grade across the district, how are they performing? How are they growing? Going in that growth mindset, how are they growing in their math skills, reading skills, writing skills? That's certainly something that we can pull. We can make.
It's interesting that you say that, because Mary and I walked away from that discussion wondering how comfortable we would be if we're open enough and are willing enough to challenge ourselves in an academic environment to put teachers' names on top of all those graphs like South Lloyd did, because it was out. It was a public document. Teachers by grade level, their names were on top of the charts in a public board meeting, and they were talking about advancements, just like you did, but also how they advanced as a group from the start to the end. So that you had those pie graphs, and they talked openly about what the challenges were for some certain grade levels or classrooms that had more discipline problems. They had that documentation there with them that showed that maybe they were a little bit behind because staying in a seat was an issue for those classes. And those were, I know I was kind of taken back by how open and frank those discussions were.
I was very surprised they put teachers' names on there. I mean, and didn't do, classroom A, B, C. They were quick if there was a teacher that was out on maternity leave or something like that to say, this teacher her name is on it, but she was we had a long-term sub and that kind of thing. And this was all presented by administrators.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Administrators were on it too.
And MAPS is standardized testing, yes? There's no personal, individual assessment of any sorts that's plugged into that. Individual teacher assessments.
It is dynamic in that it will change. It makes it harder and easier for the student to answer questions. But no, there are no local assessments. Once they're created in the district, then we'll do that.
Okay. And standardized it based on next generation standards? Are they there? Are we there?
They don't. They have a science assessment that subscribe to, but they're based on common core students, and they are accepted as part of the enrollment all every 3 or 4 years.
So back to my original question.
I would say neither. I wouldn't say that behavior is more important than academics. I think academics is important, but I would say it's important to be actually put a little bit of emphasis on behavior.
Okay. And not that I'm looking for the right or wrong answer, but you just said that, and I thought, oh, did I just hear it correctly? Like, should we have a discussion about a behavior data collection more so than curriculum, or is curriculum more so? Because quite frankly, somebody needs to tell us this is more important than that. They're both important, but if funds are going to be diverted, we need to know, and it needs to be based on something.
In an ideal world, we'd get a system that would give us both.
And there is a third piece of that I think is just as important as attendance. We've had, truancy is going crazy at the middle school right now, where we have several kids, over 10, that are chronically truant now. So, that's another thing. And now it's this time of year where they get in, and yes, we are in the heavy standardized testing window now. We're finishing up Park, followed by ISA, which is science, after spring break, followed by MAPS again. So, we're in that window, but we have kids that have missed 10 plus days. That is a huge piece of that as well. It really, really is. So I think that behavior academics, super important, but attendance is also that third piece of that they all relate to each other. It's one big Venn diagram with everything in the middle. You know what I mean? They're all connected.
Move to approve as presented with our gentleman's agreement on the side.
Second.
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Buckler?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Move on to ELL summer school.
Our summer school program will be similar to what we've done the last couple summers. It's written into the bilingual grant to offer our kids summer school But we'd like to kind of work and have a general education summer school together with ELL and preschool, or excuse me, special ed, all at the same time. We'd run it through May 30th through June 2nd. 8:30 to 11:30. Transportation would be provided this year, which is a little different. Bilingual summer school is pretty similar to what we've run in the past through Capron. Like I said, it's run through the bilingual grant, so I would have asked the board to approve that as presented.
How did we do last year?
Allison, bilingual program, do you mean with attendance wise?
Participation.
Yeah, participation. You remember what do we have, 30 to 35 kids last year that participated in bilingual?
We had, we started with 18 at Capron, and it went down. Unfortunately, we lost a family, and when that family left, we lost 4 students, but that was in the last week. I believe they had a family issue, and so that's why that attendance went down.
You mean they moved out of the district, or did he stop?
No, there was a family emergency, and they weren't able to attend anymore. So, but attendance was good. Those who started in the program, we had, I believe, 35. I could look if you need a specific number. I didn't bring numbers from last year but in both Poplar Grove and Capron combined. So we.
Because we offered one at each school.
Yes, that's what's a little different this year is we're going to have them all in one place.
We did not offer transportation last year,
Correct.
so that's why we offered them at the 2 different schools.
And they spend the day developing language skills.
Yes, and this year we're going to incorporate math, which is a little different than last year as well. Last year was mainly focusing on writing, which when we look at our access scores, that's where we're falling short, is in the writing piece. So we were focusing on writing, which will also be in this year, but we're including math as well, because we see our English language learners struggle when it comes to tests like MAPS and PART, because they're not able to understand the academic language within the math portions. So there will be part of the day spent on math and part of the day spent on the English language, and within that, writing, speaking, and understanding.
Last year was the Capron and Poplar Grove.
Yes.
And then, but you were speaking just about Capron, or you were speaking about the whole program?
For this year, we're going to offer the whole program, all 3 of those summer schools at Capron, all at the same
No, but
time.
I'm saying when she was talking about last year's program numbers, you were just speaking about at Capron, or you were speaking of
As a whole,
as a whole, both schools?
both
About
schools, we
18
had
and
about
17.
35, 18 and 17.
Total of
So,
35
total.
kids.
And that's what we're hoping to have 40 total at Capron. So 2 classrooms of up to 20 students. If we have more than 40 register, we'll put them on a waiting list. And if we have an instant where students aren't able to attend anymore, then we'll get those kids on the waiting list.
Was there a waiting list last year?
Yeah, we filled all. One thing that happened last year, we found we'd have more kids come if we offered some transportation. We have EL students up at Manchester. Transportation was an issue. They couldn't get to Poplar Grove or Capron. With providing transportation, we hope to get up to our maximum number of 40.
40's a nice start, right?
Yeah, we put in the grant. The reason, too, to put all 3 together is hopefully to maximize staff, because then that's
Sure.
secretary and nurse, too.
With the grant, if you had more than 40 to go.
No, we can have.
We kind of targeted the amount of kids we had in those grade levels.
Yes. We want to make sure that
If you had 45, you couldn't serve them, or
we could
the
have.
grant wouldn't allow. I know some grants are very specific.
No,
Rules.
I put in the grant how many students we're going to have. I could possibly amend it.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just asking,
It-
is there some flexibility within the grant to serve more students if they needed the help?
Looking at how we can best serve them, I don't want to have too many kids in the classroom so that there is language as far as ESL. You cannot have more than 90% of what's allowed in a general ed classroom. So if you only have class size of 28, 90% of that, I mean, we'd still be over the 20. But summer school, typically, we like to have smaller numbers in those classes so that we can have more one-on-one or even small group sessions.
Was anything done to track those students after they left summer school and how they did through the course of the upcoming school year? To see that there was an impact through the summer school?
Sarah Corbin, who was the teacher in both sessions last year, she did some testing, took some data on the first day, and then she took more data at the last day. I have some writing samples that I could always share with you.
No, I'm saying is that
But then,
once they got out of summer school, did you continue to track them at all through the school year?
I don't-
See, did it really have an impact in summer school?
Probably your best impact too would be to see how they did on access and to even have results back on that there.
not for this year's.
Access gets given. Access is your proficiency test that gets given
Yeah.
in January and February.
I think that would be something that you could track and see if they are reading more to grade level once they get into the academic year.
Large jump in access.
Well, that'd be a large jump. Are you seeing any
We cer-
statistical improvement?
and without the hard data, I wasn't here 2 summers ago to see how that program impacted that next school year's work. But certainly what we did last year was more of a jump start. So we started 3 weeks before school started, so it got those kids thinking more. I think it better prepared them, but I don't have that hard data. I can certainly talk with Sarah or whomever the teachers. We haven't hired the teachers yet, but I can work with them about what they think would be, a way to look at who attended and how they're performing in that school year.
And we could implement, it's another round of testing, but a summer maps window as well at the end of summer. So then we have their spring data that happens in April, and then their summer data in August, and then it follows up with winter again, and then you see that continuum. I mean, that might not be a horrible. I mean,
What I think of though, what we're really concerned about is their English language skills, and when they take tests like MAPS or PARC, unfortunately it doesn't assess their English language skills. There are assessments out there.
There must be some sort of assessment used to place the students originally in English language.
We do a screener. All new students have to have a screener. All our kindergartners are screened to see their language levels, and then we use the access to see where their skills are from year to year. But there are tests out there. I believe IPT. We've actually talked as an ESL team about doing our own assessments. Maybe we need to do an additional assessment of our own because access, it's year to year. It's kind of like the park. And so we like our maps because we can see how they grow throughout the year. So if the board would maybe that's something that we look at. I don't know if it'd be a cost to the district though to
PT would be a little bit.
IPT.
Mr. Grinny, is the purpose of the summer school to maintain where they're at, so they don't
I think a
fall
little bit
further
of both.
behind?
Yeah, I think you're hoping to keep growth and not have any fall. I think you're hoping to promote growth and also stop some of that fall.
For this,
keep it
for this type of
consistent.
summer school, the English, is there more to keep them sliding?
And keep pushing towards English language proficiency.
This goes to the heart of what we've been talking about all along, though, that what is a measure of success? How do we know that this is a worthwhile program, besides it feeling right and it seeming good? And is there any way to track that so that next year you can easily say, and I would hate to say that we have like 11 different testing programs and data collection, but it sounds like this, now you've mentioned assess or something like that, like, and then somebody's going to have to remember to keep that data and remember to bring it out again. Isn't there some way that this all goes together so that next year when you're presenting this, the numbers will be slapped up and we can look at any sort of improvement, like anything we keep track of, I think would be a start for us to start keeping that data to go, even if it's that they maintained from the beginning of the summer to the end of the summer, or if maps could show of those ELL students who didn't take the summer class, here's what their growth was. For those who did, their growth was greater. I know there are all kinds of other confounding variables, but I think it would be great if we could somehow move in that direction where these aren't just, it seems right and it feels good and we did it last year.
Probably in comparison to kids that were in summer school and access data and growth versus kids that were in summer school.
Do you know, Mr. Greenlee, maybe it's something you can follow up on it. How many of the students that are projected to be in the summer school were in summer school the same thing last year?
That's a good question.
For
Repeat
the
offenders.
well, for the ELL program, or are we talking?
Yeah, the ELL. I mean,
ELL,
How many of those
we
kids
open
will
it.
target again this year?
We open it up to all students who are English language learners from current kindergarten to 4th grade. So we don't discriminate in any way.
no, but I'm just saying, if you had 40, almost 40 last year, are you seeing the same 40 again, or we got a new 40, or did? And then I'm saying, I just didn't know, you're seeing the same 40 kids for 4 years, usually, or is there some new, just a few new ones, or a lot of new ones? I don't know. I mean, you may
This
not
might
have
be the
enough
summer that tests us to let us know.
Yeah.
to see where you're at. Yeah. I mean, how close are you to establishing which students will be maybe suggesting or strongly recommended take it?
Yeah, we would like for all our ELL students to go. And it is going to be a lot of the same kids. I'm hoping that now that we're offering transportation, we'll have the problem of having more kids than we have seats for. But unfortunately with the grant, we're kind of strapped with how many seats we can have. I mean, that is not that they say only 40, but I have only so much money that pays the salaries of the teachers and non-certified staff.
We wrote the grant for 2 classes at a time.
Correct.
What is Title III?
That's the bilingual English language grant from the state.
Could it be added to the job description of those teachers that some sort of baseline data should be collected, even if it's our own? Or is that really not worthwhile because it's then just our own data?
I don't think it's a job description that we would have to add, only an expectation that I communicate or the administrator in charge communicates with them. That when these kids start, we're going to look at where they're at and when they finish. And certainly I can monitor through the access.
Some sort of growth assessment.
Some sort of growth.
We can report that back if we need some.
I'd like to see that be part of the process.
We have, we'll be using direct instruction spoken English and language for learning. I can look at those materials and see if they have some sort of pre-post or some sort of assessment tool within there. Otherwise, I'll work with the teachers on what.
I'm just curious, is it taught in English? Is it taught in Spanish?
It's taught in English, but there are components of Spanish within it.
So far, they're all Spanish. Other languages you're working with?
We have one Arabic student. 2? Is that a brother? Kindergarten. Oh, he'll be new. majority Spanish.
Move to approve as presented with the covert, I guess, that we're gonna do what we can to measure growth through the program.
Motion and second. Roll call.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Move on to approval of general education summer school.
Yeah, this is something we added this year. We got approached by the YMCA of doing something in conjunction with, and this kind of goes across all three programs, but doing something with general education. And I worked with my elementary principals, and they looked at need and they wanted to target 2 classrooms of kindergarten and first grade, which would be our first grades moving to second grade, first and seconds for next year. And again, really targeting reading skills. So that would be something else, again, we can kind of talk about for growth. Again, transportation would be provided. The other thing that I added in there was 1 teacher to help. We typically have about 10 to 15 middle school students that need to get walk through promotion, need to do something for fulfilling promotion requirements in the summer. And we've had trouble the last few summers with students not having access to, they do Compass Learning. They haven't had access to websites or internet. And so Matt has had to kind of run around frantically trying to get kids in to get those requirements fulfilled. So what I'd like to do is to put a staff member there to oversee their requirements for the summer, so that those kids can pass and move forward and be promoted. One of the things that we do, one of the things we do have is that the YMCA is offering to run after-school care for any students that are in summer school. They are going to work and partner with the Boone County Food Pantry to provide lunches for kids that stay. So it's an added piece that we can add to this summer too. So, sorry, Dan, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, also that couldn't work for the students that are already drunk.
This is the requirement they got to fulfill to be able to move on to the next grade. What we would do is we would keep them in a computer lab or use them in a computer lab in a classroom at the middle school. During this time, we drop off out of the elementaries. This group of 10 to 15 had transportation be provided. They got a 2.5-hour day. Jimmy, what was it in the past?
In the past, if they failed 3 quarters, they had 15 hours of Compass Learning done at home or at school if they didn't have technology. 20 hours if they failed 4 courses. With Matt and I looking at that, all that was time served. I mean, they could log into Compass Learning, go swimming, come back, do a couple questions, and it just logged 3 hours for them. By doing it now, we're going to hold those students more accountable. Right now, we have 13 students as we speak, 5th through 8th grade, that are falling under that failed 3. But we have met with them once every 2 weeks. We have already met with parents to talk to them, to let them know this is on the radar. This is what's going to happen. We didn't give them the specifics because you guys would approve that tonight. But they do know something like this is coming down the line. But we've been in constant communication. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we let the kids stay late to get caught up on work. We have teachers staying to help. So we're doing everything we can at this point to help these students. But right now, as we speak, we have 13. And I'd be shocked if we get it below 10. I'd be hopeful, but I don't think it's going to get below 10, just knowing these kids that are doing it. Our biggest challenge with that is since we do letter grade based and we're looking at Fs only, we have a few of those 13 that are very smart kids. They're just lazy. They don't do their work. They could pass every test. They're probably in the top 10 for MAP, but they're still failing because they're lazy. They're not doing the work. So then we want to make sure, and this is where the teacher comes into play here, so we can give them some type of work that just isn't spend some time on the computer, to give them some type of curriculum to follow so they are enriching themselves as well. But typically they're the exception, not the rule. Your rule is that some kids just don't get it. But we do have kids, like I said, they just don't want to do any work, no homework, no projects, absence. You give them a MAP test and they're in the top 10, easy. So.
Are these some of the students that are true?
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4. And that is an issue that we have. And that's why we're kind of giving them every opportunity now, and they're not taking advantage of it, I'll be honest with you. We've talked with parents. Parents are on our side saying, oh yeah, we'll get them to work. And, we've had teachers email the assignments. We've done spreadsheets for them. Like I said, we've met once every 2 weeks just to keep following them. So is that an issue? Yes, to be honest. I'm not a huge believer of retaining kids at this age. And I can tell you those kids that are truant or lazy, I hold them back and their whole schooling career is going to be over. They're going to drop out. I mean, that's just research behind that. Hope I'm wrong, but I'm just not comfortable, and maybe I can be swayed from that. I'm just not comfortable having an 8th grader stay back in 8th grade. It's not going to be good for them. So we need to try to find something that's a little more rigorous than 15 hours of just fluff time at home. But it's still not killing their whole summer. It's 20 days, 2.5 hours in the morning. And we'll see how it goes.
So I got to ask the question.
Sure.
If they just choose not to come to this, then what's the repercussion?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, and that's why we're trying to be on the proactive right now, getting everyone on board. And like I said, parents tell me what I want to hear often on the phone, just to get me off the phone. You guys know that. But they're all saying we're all on the same page, and I hopefully they're genuine when they say they'll be there. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
Is this program going to run at Capron with the rest of the programs, or are you going to do it at the middle school?
This one would be at the middle school.
We'll do it at the middle school.
We'll drop off out at Capron, bring them up, they'll get 2.5 hours, they'll go early back to Capron.
It just didn't say in here, so that's why I was asking the question. Didn't make sense to do it at the same time, but thought I'd better ask.
One thing out about, I know it's not specifically on there, we're going to do the same thing we've done the last couple of years, where we're going to go through the START program in Belvedere for kids who need some school courses.
So the credit recovery.
So is that supposed to be part of this motion too, Mike? Or?
No, that's typically what we've always done for kids.
Okay.
Credit recovery.
This
is just a little new
twist. It doesn't cost us
twist.
a dime. So,
I guess I was just looking for, do you need our approval or
Yeah,
recommendation?
this one I do, because this is a new program.
But the STAR you don't?
I'm sorry I didn't. No.
Okay.
So, any other questions on this? The general, like I said, first and second, target the reading skills.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Maxey? Yes. Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Ballhorn?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Collinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ballhorn?
Yes.
Move on to approve of ESY summer
Yeah,
school.
this is the exact same thing. This is just what we write into our summer school funds every year to meet our kids' IEP minutes that need summer school, or have summer services that are provided. And again, this is just a way for us to share all the services all at the same time in transportation. So ESY, this is the exact same program they've run the past 2 years.
Make a motion to approve this. as presented.
Second.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Ballhorn?
Yes.
Mr. Wood? Mr. Collinson?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Finally, a resolution authorizing notice of dismissal of non-tenured teachers other than final year probationary teachers.
Yep, we did. We had some certified staff that will be non-renewed at the end of this school year. And by law, we're asking the board to approve the resolution authorizing to do so. And Tom, if I could ask you to read the resolution and have the board take action.
We need all 3 of these paragraphs, all sections.
I believe section 1 and 2.
Be it resolved by the Board of Education of North Boone Community Unit School District Number 200, Boone and Winnebago Counties, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, that the Board of Education hereby determines that those teachers listed on Exhibit A, attached hereto, and made part herefore are hereby dismissed as teachers in the school district effective at the end of the present school term. Section 2, that the President and the Secretary of the Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give to the persons listed on Exhibit 1 by certified mail, return receipt requested, a written notice of the board's decision to dismiss them at the end of the present school term, which notice shall be substantially in the form of Exhibit 2 attached hereto and made part herefore.
What? Yes, sorry.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Beverly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes. Anything not to read it again.
Now we're looking for a motion for executive session, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony and employee lodged against an employee of the public body, or legal counsel for the public body, determine validity, negotiating matters from the public body with employees and their representatives, or deliberation concerning one or more classes of employees.
Second. That one I heard.
Motion second, roll call.
Mr. Ward.
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Beverly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey.
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Second.
Brian gave you a number. Kelly. Brian gave you his number. Good, thank you.
Mary, oops, Mary made it.
Mary brought something?
Mary made it from Molly. Yeah.
Mom didn't take it?
Yeah, she took a bunch.
Oh.
Like 4.
Let the Hawaii girl get through.
Motion to adjourn from executive session.
So moved. Yeah, they've been sitting out too.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are out of executive session. Are there any motions from executive session?
I would make a motion to accept the resignation of Rodney Johnson, Assistant Custodian at North Boone High School, effective 4/3/2017.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Beverly,
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey.
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Is there any further business to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?